Okay, everybody. I know I previously told you that I would not make a video to help guide you through this essay writing process, but a number of students have asked me to do so because they felt like they could really use the guidance. So you can choose to use these videos to help walk you through. I recommend them. However, if you choose to try to write the essay off the top of your head using this outline below, I understand that as well. All right, so today we're going to talk about just kind of getting brainstorming some ideas of what you're going to write about, what the prompt is, and ultimately maybe getting into the introduction of your essay, and then we'll move towards the body paragraphs in another video. Okay, so this is your final assignment for the school year, and it's Mr. Gasway's Pre-AP English 1 Semester 2 Final Exam Essay. It is a literary argument essay on Animal Farm by George Orwell. Right? So, literary argument essay means simply this. You're going to argue something about literature, something that you have read, right? As always with any essay, you're going to have a prompt, right? Something that you're required to respond to and write about, right? So I'm going to read the prompt for you carefully, even though we probably have already gone over it, and then talk to you about how to brainstorm some ideas for it today. Right? So here's your prompt. In a well-organized 5-paragraph essay, analyze 3 central topics that George Orwell explores in Animal Farm. Discuss how these ideas are developed throughout the novel and what message Orwell may be conveying through them. Use specific textual evidence and literary analysis to support your argument. Now, some of the key things I identified here are the bolded parts. This will be a 5-paragraph essay, so when you're done, you should have 5 complete paragraphs, as you know, an introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. As well as you're going to be focusing on 3 central topics that were present in and explored throughout George Orwell's Animal Farm, right, and how these ideas are developed throughout the novel and what message they may be conveying. Right? These are all the things that your essay is going to focus on. Okay? So let's talk about how to brainstorm some ideas and how to get started on this essay. Right? Now here are our objectives. Objectives are the things I, as a teacher, and your teachers, or the assignment want to hit. Right? So you're going to have to analyze how Orwell develops multiple central topics using things like the characters, the plot, and other literary devices. You're going to organize and write a clear, nice literary argument essay. You have to use specific evidence from the text, actual quotes from the novel. And this overall goal will hopefully help to improve your critical thinking and your writing skills. Okay, so let's talk about brainstorming some ideas. Now, before you can write this essay, the first thing you need to do is think about 3 central topics that your argument is going to focus on. Right? Now, if you notice here, I wrote, choose 3 of these 25 central topics to focus on, or one that is not listed. So you can pick one that's maybe not on here. And if you have an idea about one that you want to write about that you might not be on this list, raise your hand, ask me questions, and I'll let you know if it's a good choice or not. Right? And then you want to highlight the 3 that you argue in your essay. So if you look, I have 25 central topics here. Central topics are simply topics that the story dealt with and that the story seemed to focus on. And 25 is a lot, but there are more, right? And I put some of the most popular ones on here that you can choose from. But again, you can also choose one that is not listed. So what I'd like you to do right now is, in just a second, I want you to pause the video, and I want you to look over this list of 25 topics and think of other topics, and then select 3 that you want to write about. So pause the video and do this now. All right, if you're back, I'm assuming you selected 3 central topics, all right? Now, for this video alone, I'm going to select 3 random ones, just to kind of, they're not the 3 that you have to do, but just to give you some guidance. So I might choose rebellion, so I'm going to highlight rebellion, all right? I might choose loyalty, and I'm going to highlight loyalty, and I might choose communism versus capitalism. All right, because I know a lot about that subject matter. All right, but again, it's up to whatever 3 you thought you wanted to focus on. But I chose rebellion, I chose loyalty, and I chose communism versus capitalism. Right? If you haven't highlighted the 3 that you want to do, by all means, you need to do that now. Right? So now you're ready to go to the suggested outline. All right, so we're going to talk about just the introduction paragraph today. Now, you remember the introduction, we've been doing this several times this year, has 3 parts. First, again, this is all the same paragraph. You have to start off with a hook or some kind of powerful statement about the topics your essay will be arguing. You want to give some background information about the text that you're writing about. When you're writing an essay, you want to pretend like your teacher or the reader has never read the text, so you got to give them some background. So, what is the title of the story you're writing about? Who wrote it? The author, and then two or three sentences, general premise of the story. A little bit. If someone were to ask you, what is Animal Farm about in about two, maybe three sentences, what would you tell them without spoiling the story? And then, of course, your introduction always ends with a thesis statement. And that thesis statement is what's going to drive the rest of your paper, right? That's what your paper is ultimately arguing. This is where the literary argument reference comes into play. So you want to end your introduction with a strong thesis statement that expresses the three most prevalent central topics of the novel according to you, right? Basically, you're responding to the prompt that I wrote before. And remember, this is always the last sentence of your introduction. Now, Mr. Gasway did this easy for you. I actually gave you a thesis statement that you just basically have to plug in your three topics, all right? So, it says, after reading the novella, and I use the word novella, not novel, because this is a short book. 100-page books are usually called novellas and not novels because they're not long. So, after reading the novella, three of the most prevalent and significant central topics are, and remember, prevalent means like they're you see it throughout the story, and significant means important. So what are the three that I'm writing about? Well, I chose rebellion, and notice I'm not capitalizing them because it is central topics don't get capitalized. Even though they're capitalized up here, you don't capitalize them in your thesis statement, right? I'm also choosing loyalty, as I said, as my second one, and communism. Now, communism actually does get capitalized because it is a. Oh no, I'm sorry, I stand corrected. Communism and capitalism because there's some topics, and then I put a period there. Okay? So now my reader knows what I'm going to be writing about. So what I'm going to be arguing. I'm going to be arguing that rebellion, loyalty, and communism and capitalism, or versus capitalism. I'm sorry. Are the three most prevalent central topics in my essay. So what I want you to do in just a second is to pause the video and write down the three topics that you are going to write about, just as I just did now. So pause the video and do that now. All right? If you're done, guess what? Your thesis statement is already written. You're done. It's that simple. So now you're ready to go back to the top. So now you can kind of write the rest of your introduction. The first thing you need to do is you want to start off your essay with some kind of hook or powerful statement, right? Something that draws your reader in, but not about Animal Farm, about the topics or about the ideas that your essay is going to be focusing on. So don't start talking about Snowball and Napoleon or any of that. Just open up by giving me some kind of a opening statement. Sometimes it's a question, sometimes it's a fact, sometimes it's a powerful statement. You're trying to draw your reader in, right? Now, I'm not going to do that for you because if I do that for you, it would make this assignment way too easy. So I want you to pause the video in just a second and try to write your own opening hook or powerful statement to draw your reader into your essay. And then if you're not sure if it's good, you can always have someone maybe read it and check it or call me over to check it and if you want me to see it. But if you're confident that it's a nice hook or opening statement, then just move on after that. All right? So pause the video and write an opening statement to your essay now. All right, if you're back, I'm assuming this box is filled and you have a nice hook or powerful statement created. So now all you got to do now is do the background information. This is pretty simple. All you got to do is, let me know what is the title of the text you're writing about, who wrote it, and again, 2 to 3 general sentences about the basic premise of this story. So you can say, in Animal Farm by George Orwell. The novella focuses on, and then I would ultimately talk about, again, in 2 to 3 sentences, what is the basic plot of this story? Don't spoil the story. Don't go into any real big events that happen throughout the story. A general premise. If someone were to ask you, you know, what is the story basically about? What would you say? Right? So now I want you to pause the video and complete this box. All right, if you're back, then all three of your boxes should be completed, correct? Okay. Now, you do also want to make sure that you underline or italicize Animal Farm when you're talking about the title of the book, not necessarily the farm itself, right? We're talking about the book Animal Farm. I like to underline. I'm old-fashioned. We underlined before we really had computers. A lot of people like italicize. Either one works, but just pick one. Don't do both. Just pick one, and make sure that you've done that correctly. And if you have, your introduction should be completed, and you are all done. You have an idea what your essay is going to be about, and tomorrow, if you want, you can move to start writing your first body paragraph. If you feel like you can already start the body paragraph and you have extra time in class, by all means, you can do that too as well, and start writing it. But I will have a separate video for your body paragraph, so you know how to do that. All right, good luck to you, and I hope everything went well, and we're going to move on more in this essay throughout the next couple days.